ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to part 3 and the final part of my MCU ranking of 2017. Before we start, here are reminding you of my 17 to 6's places. 17, For the Dark World, 16, Ant-Man, 15, Iron Man 2, 14, The Incredible Hulk, 13, Thor, 12, Captain America, Civil War, 11, Doctor Strange, 10, Captain America the First Avenger, 9, Thor Ragnarok, 8, Captain America the Winter Soldier, 7, Guardians of the Galaxy, and 6, Spider-Man Homecoming. Now we'll move on to number 5. Now, this one and maybe even the next one or two, would have been low on the list had Spider-Man Homecoming killed off its main villain. But because it didn't, we've got to admit it's not completely... I do think it's a fantastic film, but it's not completely perfect. So we've got to move on to the next 5, the top 5. And starting off the top 5 is the film that started off this entire series, Iron Man. A really enjoyable, really well told action superhero spectacle that sees Tony Stark go from this selfish, rich businessman, womanizer person. He's basically Bruce Wayne. In the Marvel's MCU, he's basically like Bruce Wayne. But he does care for his friends and his colleagues. And then he gets, on a tour of Afghanistan, selling weapons, or giving weapons to the US military, he is captured by terrorists and held to made to make one of his weapons for them, aided by a German scientist. But instead of making a weapon for them, Tony Stark makes a new heart after the doctor saves his life from hooking up to a car battery. And then they make a suit for him to use for an escape. Sadly, the doctor dies on the way out, but Tony Stark escapes and is rescued by the military. And then he decides to upgrade the armor and make it turn himself into Iron Man. Meanwhile, he will stop the weapons from being... his company will stop making weapons, which upsets Obadiah Stane, his work colleague, who has actually been trying to sell them to the terrorists. And it's revealed that he's the one who paid the terrorists to capture Tony Stark. Although they said that they did not know it. And yeah, it's just a really enjoyable film. I love how it connects with Obadiah, finding out about how Pepper finds out about Obadiah's plan, and how Phil Coulson's trying to get involved, and also Rhodes. Although I think Rhodes would be Rhodes is better played by Don Cheadle rather than Terrence Howard. Howard does do a good performance and has some really good moments. And yes, it's a great story. It's a pretty great one to kick up the series. And if this one had failed, then the MCU would not have happened. Even The Incredible Hulk would have happened, but that's as far as it would have gone. And that one would just be considered another bad Hulk film. Well, in most people's cases. Some people think it's good, I think it's okay. But if Iron Man had failed, there would be no MCU. At least not the MCU we know. So we give thanks to this film, and that is why it's so brilliant. It's because it is a great film in its own right, and it's a great film as a kickstarter to this franchise we've all known to come and love over the past nearly 10 years. Next year's Infinity War will mark the 10th anniversary. And it's a shame there wasn't a film in 2009, but there's pretty much 3 in 2017, 18 and 19, so that pretty much makes up for it. Yeah. Now we move on to number 4. Number 4, a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me on this one. I know, yeah. But, and again, some people probably like it a lot as well. So this one's pretty much a mixed opinions. There'll probably be more people who like it but not love it. And that is Avengers, Age of Ultron. I think this one is this is a pretty good film. It's an enjoyable movie. Granted, Ultron isn't that great of a villain, but he's so fun and enjoyable. James Spader does a great performance. And everyone's pretty much putting their all into this film, pretty much like they did with the first one. And it just comes off as a great instalment. And it does cause some rift. It caused the boundaries for the rift in Civil War. So if we didn't have this one, you wouldn't have Civil War, which wouldn't have Infinity War. So yeah, also the Ragnarok stuff. Without this movie, and yeah, it is a great film. It's really enjoyable. Some people might not enjoy it as much, but I think it's pretty good. I think it's a very enjoyable film, and I just loved seeing the Avengers back in action after seeing the first Avengers film. Seeing this one, the Avengers are back as a team. They're fighting a Hydra. They're back in action. It just feels all around brilliant, and that's what I want to feel in the next Justice League film when they get round to making that. When we have Justice League 2, then I want a similar feel to Avengers Age of Ultron, at least at the start, when they're all together, they're fighting a villain or villain organisation. It could be the Joker's organisation, for example, and they're all together, they're coming in, and they're just fighting and come in to save the day, and then we get to the actual story, or this is the start of that story, and it just feels brilliant. So I want that type of feel in Justice League 2, and also all other superhero crossover films. I want this kind of a feel of a team working together to save the day. And I will say this, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is another example of this work, of this type of thing, and they got it right, as much as Age of Ultron did. So, as soon as you've got everyone together, and then you bring them all back in for the next one to help save the day, and if you're bringing new ones into that one, that's when you'll introduce them as well, and you'll get them teaming up with the already established ones, who you already feel are a team by this point. Once you're introducing the new characters as part of the team, for example, this one, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and Vision, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Nebula becoming a hero, and also Yondu at the same time, and also Mantis, then you've got that feeling of the teams, you've got the original team, you've got that feeling of them working together, and then you have the new ones, or new allies join them, but that's after you have the feel of this team working together already established, and that's what gets the audience excited for the film and for the rest of the story, having this team working together and then bringing on the new ones, and then them working with them, and how it all works together, and might not necessarily be better, but some cases it is, and it carries on for future installments. So, yeah, that was Age of Ultron. I think that's pretty much set the standard for superheroes team-up sequels. After the team-up, the first team-ups would establish the team and connection, and then the sequels would just expand on it. You have the same feel, and then they bring in the new members. So Age of Ultron is pretty much sets the superhero team-up sequel standard, in my opinion. And you know what? It feels brilliant. Number 3. I think this one's going to be controversial. Number 3 is Iron Man 3. The reason I say it's controversial is because of this guy. The Mandarin. Well, Mandarin. In this film, the Mandarin is actually an actor played by Ben Kingsley, who is just made to become the Mandarin to take the place of some other guy. Guy Pearce's character, Killian. He's over here. And he just needed someone to take take the credit for what's happening. But aside from the Mandarin not being the reveal of the Mandarin, well, it was quite a ballsy move to go on to that. It's quite bold. But I can see why people were not happy about it and are really angry and annoyed. But aside from that, this is a fantastic movie. let's not deny it. Iron Man 3, besides the Mandarin reveal, despite being bold, it was a bit of a letdown and annoy fans. But besides that, Iron Man 3 is brilliant. It has a great story, the emotion is there, the characters at their top. Tony Stark's suffering from this thingamajig stuff in the head, thanks to the events of Avengers Assemble, the previous film. And he's just working his best out to try and save the day when things go wrong. And it just feels like an epic installment. It actually feels quite a lot like a sequel to the Avengers, more than Iron Man 1 and 2. Yeah. As opposed to the other sequels, which do feel like sequels to their other films, although Winter Soldier could be partially Avengers as well. Thor Dark World certainly is a Thor sequel. But yeah, this film certainly feels more of an Avengers sequel than it does an Iron Man sequel. And it just rocks so much, and the final scene at the dock is just brilliant. Not completely sure what happened, what was going on with the Vice President. I think he was involved, he was going to take over, and his daughter had an injury, and the extremis thing was going to fix that, but that bit wasn't completely explained. But apart from that, we had a really great ending, although the montage wasn't so great. Also, did you have to arrest him at Christmas? I mean, it's Christmas, for goodness sake. You know what? This film is just brilliant, and the scenes up in, what was it, Tennessee? They were great, and the Tony needs Gary's bits were also fun, and just had a really good story. And you know what? It'd be a good film to put on at Christmas. In fact, I might even do that. I'm going to put this on at Christmas. Well, not on Christmas exactly, but around Christmas period. It's a good film to put on around the Christmas period. BBC One missed the trick by putting it on after New Year's Day. When they premiered it, I think it was in 2015 or 16. I think it might have been 2016 if it was after New Year's Day. They missed the trick by not putting it on around before Christmas or after Christmas and before New Year's Day. Oh well. It's still a good film. Yeah, it was 2016 to be honest. Yeah, it was. But yeah. It's a good film, really enjoyable, and yeah, it's just great. You will enjoy it, even if you don't like the stuff with the Mandarin. Mandarin twist, I should say. Although Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin, it's just a shame it turned out he was just a good actor being this guy, but boy, if Ben Kingsley was actually the proper Mandarin and not some guy pretending to be the Mandarin, probably would have had one of the best villains in the MCU. But as he turned out, disappointment. But still a fantastic performance by Ben Kingsley on both fronts, especially on the Mandarin front. But he still did a good job on the actor front. But yeah, that was Iron Man 3. Number 2. This one has not got a disappointing villain. It's got a brilliant villain. And in fact, it's actually more of a surprise villain, to be honest. Number 2 is my favourite film of 2017 so far. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This movie rocks. It's so much fun. It has a great story. The villain, as I mentioned, is brilliant. That's Ego, played by Kurt Russell. A brilliant character. And he's also got that kind of a feeling before he was revealed to be a villain that he's a really great character anyway. Russell does a great performance on that. The regulars, the ones from the first film, I should say, are great as usual, as are Michael Rooker as and Yondu and Karen Gillan as Nebula, both from the first films, and this time they actually join for the last act. And also Pom Kominoff, I think that's her name. Pom Kenemoff, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, as Mantis. She does a great job as well as another member, and she's probably now the 6th member of the Guardians now that Yondu's no longer around and Nebula's gone off to find Thanos. But Yeah, and Sylvester Stallone has some good cameo scenes as his character. It's a shame he wasn't in this film a bit more, but he might be in the next one. He might be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Please come out in 2020, and please be the 25th film. I'm hoping number 20. There's a film between Spider-Man Homecoming 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so that could be number 25, because this was 15 and number 1 was 10. So it could be a film that's ended with a number in the 5 times tables. And also come out within a 3-year period. So the second of the 3 films of 2020 be the 25th film. You can always slot in Doctor Strange 2 or something in between Spider-Man and Guardians 2 and 3. Or a new character. Ooh. But yeah, this is a brilliant film, and the visuals just look as brilliant, and the prosthetics. I need to know that word. I want to make films. I need to know that word. Prosthetics. They look brilliant as well, and the makeup as well. And all the camera movements are great, and it looks like a masterpiece. Yes, it's a bit of a CG fest, but it is in space. For crying out loud, it is a sci-fi. It's not like the Incredible Hulk where it's on Earth and they have the CG fest at the end. This is actually in space, and we're going to see a bit more of cosmic universe in the future. So get used to it. And the colours, the colours of these new worlds, they just look so spectacular. Just look so brilliant, and yeah. You just can't help but fall in love with this movie. Some say it's another Marvel film or a bit disappointing, but I think it's a fun ride that looks beautiful and is and there's a lot of heart and soul put into this movie. And it's probably the most out of all of the ones of the most recent years and of this franchise, and one of the ones of the last year of overall films. And yeah, so that's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, my second favourite film of this franchise so far, and my favourite film of the year so far. We'll see how Star Wars turns out, though. Okay, number 1. Number 1 is... Well, you probably already know it by now. And as I mentioned, it's not changed since the last list. All the one before. Number 1 is... Avengers Assemble. Or, if you're living in the United States, The Avengers. Now, this one is just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Why? Because, well, first team-up movie, and they make it pretty much the perfect team-up movie. By having a great character, they've been building up all of these characters into rivals since movie 1. And they pay it off in a more than satisfactory team up where everyone is they just come together to fight Loki and stop the Chitauri, as well as retrieve the Tesseract. And yeah, it's a great film, and they have a lot of really enjoyable moments in the build up. Then they get to the helicarrier, and that's where things really build up tension between characters. It's great to see the tension, and then Coulson gets killed off when the ship is attacked and Loki escapes, but they're able to help Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, get unpossessed by Loki, and he then joins them, and then you've got 6 heroes pretty much coming together to fight Loki, and they pretty much help save the day. And yeah, it's a really great film. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. It's really enjoyable. Everyone's putting their all into it. Pretty much the same with Guardians 1 and 2, but a little bit more of a push. Because this one, like with Iron Man, this one had to be brilliant. Otherwise, it would have been a complete failure. It would have been a complete letdown. A lot of people are saying that with Justice League at the moment, but quite a few people kind of like that one, like me. But this one had a bit more riding on it because it had 5 films of build-up. This one would have to be big and epic and good, really, really enjoyable. It had to live up to the expectations of everyone. Pretty much what Infinity War is going to have to do next year and Avengers 4 the year after. And in this one's case, it paid off and it was better than probably what people were expecting. I'm not sure. But it was epic. It was brilliant. Yeah, and it's a brilliant movie. And certainly one of the best superhero films of all time. So that is why Avengers Assemble, or The Avengers, is the best Marvel film. Certainly the best MCU film. And probably actually would be the best Marvel film, to be honest, of all time. So, let's remind you of the list before we round up. Number 17 is Thor: The Dark World. Number 16, Ant-Man. Number 15, Iron Man 2. Number 14, The Incredible Hulk. Number 13, Thor. Number 12, Captain America: Civil War. Number 11, Doctor Strange. Number 10, Captain America: The First Avenger. Number 9, Thor Ragnarok. Number 8, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Number 7, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 6, Spider-Man: Homecoming. Number 5, Iron Man. Number 4, Avengers: Age of Ultron. Number 3, Iron Man 3. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And number 1, Avengers Assemble, or The Avengers. So that's it from me and the MCU ranking of 2017, Part 3, Part 2 and Part 1. All gone. So, see you next time where we will do more reviews and rankings. I'm hoping to see Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Or Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, I should say. And maybe there will be a Star Wars ranking each year as well, but really I've also considered just doing it in the review at the end, just update the list quickly, or just say where I would put that one where. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. It was revealed he's the one who got